Hello and welcome to a new series called Greenlight Quicklook. In this series we'll be having a relatively quick look at games that are looking to be greenlit on Steam. Now the length of these episodes will completely depend on whether or not we can say a lot about a game. So let's get to it, shall we? In this first episode we'll be taking a look at NoLimits Roller Coaster Simulation 2. As you might imagine, with a name like that, it's Roller Coaster Simulator. And after having played this game for a few hours, I would have to agree that it is very much a simulator. I, for one, have always been a big fan of simulator games. I used to spend hours on end playing Flight Simulator or racing simulator games like Live or Speed and so forth. So you can imagine that when I saw this pop up on Greenlight and read the description, I became a little excited. And my excitement did not go unanswered, as we'll find out in a little bit. Now, NoLimits really takes the simulation aspect of its name seriously. This is not as much a game as it is a simulator. This game basically lets you build a roller coaster park in an editor with a CAD-style wireframe display to build roller coasters. We'll be having a look at the demo because the full game is quite the opposite of free to play, and the price is very steep at this moment. Namely, the game will set you back $45.95, and that's in dollars. And that's the price they're currently asking for it outside of Steam, because the game is of course not greenlit yet. Hence why we're covering it in our quick look. And I'm not sure if they'll be asking the same if the game ever gets greenlit on Steam. Hopefully not. Now let's jump into it a little bit. In the demo you basically get 3 parks you can play around with, which you can load from the editor. And each park basically has one roller coaster ride, and typically all these parks have a different type of roller coaster. We'll first have a little ride in the Timberliner, and as you can see while we go up the lift here, this game looks quite attractive. Now, as I mentioned before, this game costs $45.95 currently, which is quite unusual for games nowadays, and you know, usually games that get developed by indie developers don't really go for those prices. Now, as I mentioned before, we are running the demo, but it doesn't have as much limitations as you would expect from a game in a demo form. But basically, this demo lets you play inside the simulation for no more than 15 minutes, and it also limits the type of coasters you can choose in the editor. This demo will contain 4 types of coasters, which are the steel looping coaster, the gravity group Timberliner. This is the one we're looking at right now. The hyper coaster and the twisted dive coaster. In the full version there will of course be no limitation whatsoever, naturally, and you'll be able to pick any of the 37 coasters. Now that sounds like a lot, but unfortunately some of those are just variations of each other. And the coaster we're looking at right now, as mentioned earlier, is the Timberliner. This coaster doesn't have any loopings and stuff like that because it's made of wood, of course. I think we've seen enough of the gravity group Timberliner for now, so let's have a look at one of the other 3 coasters that we have available in this demo. I think next we'll be having a look at the hyper coaster, and as you can see, the hyper coaster is a metal coaster, unlike the Timberliner. And this coaster can have a much more radical track as the Timberliner, which is not unusual because it's not made out of wood. I don't think there are any loops in this pre-made hyper coaster, but I do think it allows you to create loops and corkscrews for yourself once you start using the editor. And we'll be having a look at the editor a bit later. which I initially had some problems with, right up until I decided to actually read the in-game tutorial, which is made available quite easily. Now we'll have a quick ride in the Twisted Dive Coaster. The pre-made park with the Twisted Dive Coaster was really the most fun coaster in my opinion. As you can see, it will go underground on several occasions, and there's also some vertical drops through some water vapor. I really found that quite cool. I can't really think of any other game that would allow you to create roller coaster rides with such attention to physics and details, and also the sound is very cool for the immersion factor on this one. And the last coaster that we'll be having a quick ride in is the steel looping coaster. Now, unfortunately, the demo didn't come with a pre-made park where the steel looping coaster had a pre-made coaster in it. So the footage we're seeing in the background is from the coaster that I built myself in the editor. I tried to make it look a little realistic, but I don't think I completely succeeded there. Now, another fun aspect of this game is the fact that you can change absolutely everything that's related to its weather. Now, as you can see, when you change the cloudiness, the clouds will actually gradually disappear. They make it look very natural, which is pretty awesome. And you can also make it rain, and it will start raining very slowly. It won't just start raining and pouring down immediately, so it will gradually start raining harder, just like in real life. And the same goes for snow as well. And the wind physics of this of the weather aspect is a little bit weird in this game. As you can see here, that the trees are swaying back and forth very violently, and they make it look like it looks like the trees are made out of rubber or something, or they're miniature. They're going back and forth that fast. Yeah, that doesn't look very realistically. And lastly, you can have a thunderstorm appear. This game simulates that pretty cool. As you can see, you can make it seem like it's the end of the world when you fiddle around with the options a little bit. Now, this game also has a day and night cycle. I didn't get a chance to play around with that extensively because of the limited time you can spend in the simulation at one time. But as you can see, the transition from day to night looks pretty awesome. I accelerated the footage just a little bit in the background, just to give you an idea of what it looks like. And lastly, we'll have a quick look at me creating a coaster. In this quick look, we'll not be going into the creation process, but it is pretty straightforward once you read the tutorial. It really shouldn't take you more than 10 minutes to get the basic hang of it. And as you can see, we're just creating a basic looping track, which will be the steel looping coaster we saw earlier. I would have to say that I had quite a bit of fun riding around in those roller coasters, and the fact that you have so much control over your environment makes the immersion factor even go up even more. So, but there is a downside to this game, and that is the price. I would say that $45.95 is just too steep for an indie developed game. It's just not realistic for an indie developer to expect people to pay that much for a game anymore. You know, and the only types of games that can pull that off are games like AAA titles like Call of Duty or FIFA. You know, but I would still like to see this game greenlit. I can only imagine what type of creative coasters people will come up with once it gets the exposure it will get once it goes through the Greenlight process. And hopefully Mad Data, which is the developer of this game, will have some room to bring the price down once they get greenlit. Alright, and that's about it. I'd like to thank you all for watching our first episode of our Greenlight Quicklook series. I hope you all enjoyed it, at the very least have a better understanding of what this game is. So please join us next time, and as always, have a good one.